So today I'm going to show you how I built the stand for my mixing console, as well as the entire reassembly process of putting back together and hooking up this mixing console.
True Sound Studios is in your ears.
So welcome back to the brand new True Sound Studios. I am Weezna, and we are sitting inside the fully finished new True Sound, which has been just amazing new space to work in. So first I'm going to show you guys how I built the stand, which is realistically, it's just like a table, really, if you think of it. And I used pine. I used 1x3 pine. Now you could build this out of whatever you wanted. For me, I painted it black, so I'm not going to put money into some really amazing wood. But I did use 2 pieces of 1x3 pine for the front section here, and then 2 1x3 for the back. And the reason I did that is just to make it stronger. Now, if you notice where these legs are on the mixing console, it's pretty much split into thirds, and the way that I distributed the weight, it just was really going to work out for me. Now, I'm not going to give you guys dimensions on this because it's custom. It's not going to fit anyways. But at the very end of the video, I'll show you guys a little bit closer look at this. Now, I'm not going to get into like the custom armrest or the meter bridge or even this center section today. That's going to be a totally different video. This video is already too long. And then, you know, towards the middle of the video, you guys will see the whole reassembly process, putting all the modules back, all the soldering and wiring and custom cables and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, let's get into this video. Okay, so to get started here, I'm screwing the 1x3 pine, those like pieces that are kind of helping to brace these front and back long pieces of 1x3 pine. And I'm using construction screws as usual. I love using my Spax construction screws. And now that I've built this entire outer frame, I want to double up on the pine just because I want to make it even stronger, especially knowing the span of this and how heavy the mixing console is. So what I'm doing is I'm putting down some glue using just a scrap piece of wood to flatten out the glue just to help make it stick even more. Putting another layer of glue on there, you can see a little zoom in, and then just mushing these together. And I got a whole bunch of screws there, you can see, that I'm going to go ahead and screw and glue it so that obviously the screws are holding it temporarily until that glue dries. And then for any parts with the intersected pieces, I'm using these long 2.5 inch trim screws to be able to just add a little bit extra strength. And I'm just doing 1 per section. So there's 8 sections, there's 4 per side. And then I'm doing the exact same thing on the other side, just adding glue. And then that second piece of 1x3 pine. And then just doing the same screw pattern as I did on the other side. So you can see here, this is what it looks like as of right now. And now we can go, now that this is fully built, now I can kind of add some other details, sand it, put a 1/4 round edge over it, and then obviously paint it. So bringing it outside, I'm just hitting it with some light sandpaper just to round off the edges just a little bit. I'm using a router with a 1/4 round bit. This is actually the bottom of the mixing console, the round over the bottom, so you don't, accidentally hit your legs on the bottom of it and rip your skin off. So this is just a little detail. I'm only doing it on the bottom of the front. And then here I am sanding the round over just to make sure that it is really nice and smooth. Even though I'm going to paint it with spray paint, which is, technically not the finest paint. But anyways, here it is. It's all painted now. And these are just temporary legs. I bought actual metal legs, but they're not here yet while I was building this. So I'm using temporary legs. I'm putting 2 in each corner and then 1 on each intersecting piece, I guess you would call it, just to make sure it's nice and strong. I don't want this thing to fall over, obviously. And so you can see here, this is what it is looking like as of right now. So until then, I'm going to start filling up both sections of the mixing console with all the electronics. So this piece right here, this has 24 channels. There's 4 stereo channels in here that I'm going to be adding today. And then over here, this is the master section, and then 16 more mono channels. So it's going to be a lot of work. There's a ton of parts. There's a lot of soldering, lots of screws, but after that, I can go ahead and actually power this thing up and start playing some music through it. So the first thing I'm doing is just adding the channels just as I'm pulling it out of my storage box. And you can see down here, this is the master power in, and I had to cut the wires for the master power section just because they're permanently soldered in. And so therefore right here, I am splicing them back together. Because the solder traces on these Allen Heath are actually not amazingly rugged, I am just doing some straight splices, and I'm just going to put some shrink tube over the top of it. And this is really just the easiest way for me to do this because I don't want to destroy the traces on the circuit board, especially in this section here. It's pretty critical. And I'm just using a lighter to get that shrink tube to melt, well, to shrink. So you can see here, that's the whole bus section to the left, and then that's the last section of mono, 16 mono channels to the right there. Even got all the grounds. All the grounds had to be cut because, once again, they're all hard soldered together, so you have to cut them and then resolder every point. Got the connector pieces in, the backplate connectors, as well as all the connections for this bus section here. There's that circuit board that connects all those together. I'm not exactly sure what that was for, but also I had cut the ribbon cable, which is probably one of the scariest things I had to do on this, just because I could really get myself into trouble. And you can see here, this is actually where I cut it. So you got the full 24 channels, cut that, and then I'm using this kit that I bought, which is 40 pin ribbon cable. Comes with the connectors, the actual cable, and then those actually go on the back side of each of these 40 pin connector pieces, and that's how you, I guess, crimp it all together. You can see there, that's the female, the top piece is the male, and then that is the little connector that holds the wire in. That is the 40 pin ribbon cable, and maybe 40 pin, I guess that's what you call it. You can see it's exactly the same size. It's even marked with that one red strip. And so here what I'm doing is you kind of like, I tried a whole bunch of different things. I wasn't sure how to get these together. I thought you maybe could just kind of squeeze it and then started bending the pin. So now what I've decided to do is try to push them in as much as you can, but 40 wires cutting through 40 pieces of sheathing is really tough to do. So I ended up grabbing a little crude, but I ended up grabbing 2 pieces of 2x6 and kind of trying to mush it together, but you have to put a ton of pressure on these. What I actually found out is kind of rocking it side to side actually helped. You can see there, some of it's together, but not all of it. So you can see finally right here, I kind of figured out if you just kind of rock it side to side, you can really get them all to come together. And then later on, we're going to test these to make sure that every pin works, because there is definitely some fault that you can have with these particular type of connectors. So these are, I think it was 14 or 16 pin, and what I need to do is, just like with the 40 pin, I also have to cut these in half and extend it. But for one side of the mixing console, I decided instead of trying to extend it, I would just make a fresh brand new cable, which you can see that the black colored one is actually the newer one. Eventually, I figured out that if I grabbed a vise to press these together, this was probably what I should have done from the start. Now, you got to be obviously very careful that you don't actually just destroy this by pressing it too hard, but with a good amount of touch, you can get these to really crimp together really nicely, just like that. Okay, and that is my newly DIY'd ribbon cable, this much smaller one. You can see it goes to there, and then you can see this is a totally fresh piece. And then at some point after I actually set this up and figure out my gap here in the middle to the next console, I will cut this to size and then put the last connector on. And you can see here, these are all the connections on the back side, and every single one has 4 nuts that go over the TRS connections, and then 2 screws per XLR per channel. So there's a ton of connections, ton of screws, tons of nuts to put on. This is some of the mono and 4 of the stereo channels. Now I had flip-flopped them, and maybe we can even talk about the little issues I discovered with that. And just like that, it is done. So you can see these are we got 16 mono channels here. These are the 4 stereo channels, and then another 4 mono. So traditionally on this console, these stereo channels are actually on the other side of the master section right here. But I'm gonna see if they're gonna work here. I mean, I just don't know if electronically it was set up for that, but that's how I made it. Okay, so let me show you what I did here. So this is the ribbon cable. This connects all of the channel bus outputs per channel and power, and that's how it connects the whole mixing console together. So what I did right here was I cut the cable into 2 pieces so that one piece could go on the one side and the other piece could go on the other side. So I needed to obviously run some sort of extension cable. So I bought this. This is 40 pin, I believe they call it, ribbon cable. So it's 40 by 40. You can see the little red stripe here and the little red stripe here, red stripe and red stripe. So I made my own ribbon cable. I bought, I think it was 10 feet for, I don't know, maybe it was $10 or $15. And then it gave you a whole bunch of these connectors. They just simply crimp on the back. So you put this on the back here and you crimp it together and you make yourself a cable. So the only thing is when you put an adapter cable, like a splice connection like I did here, it actually flip-flops the pin. So like the left side and the right side gets flip-flopped. Fortunately, if you do like a joint connection here and here, it flip-flops it back, but I wasn't sure and I wasn't willing on taking a risk. So this is just a little continuity checker that I made a long time ago. It's got 2 little alligator clips. It just shows you when you have a signal flowing, you know, a complete signal on only one connection at a time. So I wanted to make sure that this was all correct. So I'm going to pick the very bottom left, well, my bottom left. And then here, see, we got the same pin. So that means it's connected correctly. And if we go to the next one, we don't get any continuity, which is good. So then let's check another one. We'll try right here. It's right by the little bump, I guess you would call it, and pick that one here. So that's great, and we'll just check the ones around it. That's good. And now let's check this one up top here. So as you can see, this is all working. If we can check all the other ones. So it looks like I did not screw it up, which is amazing because I don't know what I would have done. So that's how I'm extending this mixing console. Now, there is another section where it's smaller cable. It's this ribbon cable. It's much thinner. I think this is 12 pin. And what I'm doing for this one is I just bought, same thing, I just bought a big fresh piece. But because there's only 4 pins I have to make for these connectors, I'm just not even going to use the original one. I'm just going to make a brand new one for it because it's only for one side of the mixing console. So there you go. I have, I guess you would say, officially split this ribbon cable, and now I can go ahead and hook it up. So I will get to explaining all this, but this is the whole mixing console now together with the empty center section that I'll eventually fill. And I'm just really just showing the fact that signal is traveling from the very left side of the mixing console to the right through the cables that I personally built. So I was obviously excited. Okay guys, so it is up and running. You can see all the lights work, all the mutes, like everything seems to be working just as it should, like it used to work, you know, back in the day. So yeah, I checked every single light, and right now what I have is I have a YouTube video, one of mine, just so I don't get demonetized or whatever the heck happens. And I'm just going to play some audio through here. It's going through one of the stereo channels, is going over to that little yellow Bluetooth speaker on aux 8. So I'm going to send some, let's see, gosh, I almost forget how to do this. Unmute it. We're not sending it to a bus or to any of these buses, just the aux. So you can see the signal come up on that meter there. Now let's see if I, okay, so that mutes it. Bring all these back up to 0. So this is pretty cool. And then, okay, so that, yep, that should mute it. And then if I can also send that signal, yep, you can see it coming up on 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Why this is so exciting is because this big ribbon cable, along with this other cable that I made to be able to split this console in half, is how signal is coming from here is jumping across this void into here. And if we turn this up, well, I don't know if you would be able to hear it, but there's no ground noise. There's no, I don't even have a power conditioner on this yet. So, and then now I can go ahead, I'll unplug that, and then this is plugged into the stereo channels now. So now we can use the buses. So unmute this. Oh, I got to send it to a bus. There we go. So this is just going straight to left and right here. Don't worry about any of these buses anymore. And then now, if we take it off left and right and go like the 1 and 2, see now it's going to here. And this is pan left and right. Look at that. So, and all the buses work. So, you know, I haven't gone through every single channel yet, but it seems like everything works, which is just crazy because I planned on this, you know, not working, and I was going to have to fix things. So I guess all my time has paid off. So that is freaking awesome. Now I can go ahead and actually build this whole middle section here and then put all the, like over 1,000 knobs, I think it is, on all of, you know, this whole console. This one section is the only section that's done. And then, you know, put the fader caps on, and then I got to go ahead and start building the meter bridge. But yeah, hopefully in the next 3-4 days, I will be totally done with this. I can actually now confidently hook up my good speakers to it because I was also afraid that something would happen. But this thing's been running for a couple hours now. So far, so good. And I am just extremely happy. Couldn't be more pumped. So a lot has happened and changed since that was filmed, which was definitely a while ago. So I will catch you guys up on another video. I did get those metal legs in. And these cost about $120 for both of them. So they're about $60 a piece with shipping. They are solid steel. It is like a rectangular shape. They're about 1 inch deep and about 3 inches wide. They hold, I don't know, some crazy amount of weight. So wasn't really worried about that at all. One of the few things I do want to do still is put, you know, this shear motion that can happen this way. I had bought some aluminum strips, I guess, very similar to what I did on this center section so that I can support it, so that if it ever got knocked from the one side, it wouldn't kind of collapse on itself. So besides that, I've had a lot of people ask me questions on, very specific things if they want to modify, or if they are trying to modify their own mixing console. Now, obviously you can ask your questions down here in the comments section, but it's been probably an even easier way to communicate back and forth through Instagram, because I really like it because it's easy to text. I check it multiple times a day, as it's a really big way for me to get clients. But also it's really great because I can share videos and pictures super easy, send voice memos too, and it just seems to be a really great way. So if you go ahead and find True Sound Studios on Instagram. So that is all for this video. I do appreciate you guys watching and paying attention to all this stuff. It really means a lot. I don't know if I've ever said this before, but my wife is amazing, but she doesn't care about modifying a mixing console or anything like that. She's like, it either looks pretty or it doesn't. So being able to share all this stuff with you guys has just been, it really validates all this stuff that I do, and to be able to share this and have you guys ask me questions back and forth really makes it all worth it. So just once again, thank you very much, and until the next video, I will see you guys then. So thank you for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, click that like button and consider subscribing for more content. So not only do I make YouTube videos, but I also produce tracks and I can mix and master your music. So once again, thank you for watching this video. I'm Weezna, and True Sound Studios is in your ears.